Horror games aren't usually built to appeal to a wide audience, especially for players looking to have a diverse gameplay experience. But recently I got the chance to play one of the first next-gen Xbox exclusives, The Medium. It's clearly a horror game at its core, and I feel like it offers enough immersion to satisfy the busy gamer who is just looking for something different from the norm. But sometimes following the confusing horror storyline can be more tiring than it's worth. Find out why I'm split on this horror game in my Busy Gamer review of The Medium. Welcome back to No Time Gamer. Subscribe to make sure your gaming sessions are time well spent. The Medium is a cinematic, narrative-driven thriller with a heavy focus on elements of the paranormal. You experience the story as a medium named Marianne. In the beginning of the game, you'll start to become familiar with some of your supernatural abilities as you prepare your deceased foster father, Jack, to be buried. You'll need to use the first of your abilities, called Insight, to be able to complete this part of the story. Insight allows you to see things that are not immediately visible to the naked eye, and are often based on memories, emotions, or past experiences of others. It becomes an integral part of the game as you dive deeper. While I had expected it to be a limited resource, like health or stamina in other games, Insight is unlimited and can be used at any time. Let's talk graphics for a minute. This is the first next-gen Xbox exclusive I've had the chance to play. While it's not really built to showcase the graphical capabilities of these powerhouse consoles, I definitely was not disappointed. The textures are beautiful, the lighting is fantastic, and interactions feel buttery smooth. The biggest downfall in the visual experience is not related to graphics at all, but instead lies in the camera's presentation of the game. It's very cinematic in that it's not really comparable to a first or third person game that I've ever played, but instead it feels like you're controlling the character in a movie. The camera angle changes often and is constantly giving you a different perspective on the area. Okay, I get what they're trying to do here, but I honestly found myself annoyed a lot of the time as the transition between camera angles and the character's movement as the angle changed was anything but fluid. I found myself changing directions unexpectedly and walking into walls more often than I'd like to admit. There's a lot of unique gameplay situations in the Medium that really keep it fresh. The first one being the split. This is a very cool split-screen view of Marianne as she traverses both the material world, think present day, and the spiritual world, where you're a lot more free to do some really cool stuff like travel through time and manipulate physical elements of the environment. She's in the same location in both worlds, but they are obviously very different, and either one is limited by the other. By that, I mean you can't just go off doing things in the material world where you can't go in the spiritual, and vice versa. But there is another ability that changes that: the out-of-body experience. Marianne can actually jump fully into the spiritual world during the split to change the material world to her advantage. This often includes things like turning on power with spiritual energy, revealing things that she can't see in the material world, etc. The out-of-body experience is a limited time ability, and you will die if you stay out of your body too long. You'll discover another way to travel between the material and spiritual worlds via mirrors. Traveling through a mirror actually crosses you fully over into one world or the other, rather than the duality type experience of the split. Items that you pick up do not transfer between worlds, so it's often a challenge to find what you might need to advance the story in one world or the other. While I'm on that topic, I will say that the puzzles you encounter through the story are not ever too challenging to the point where you'll want to give up and try again the next day. Most things are pretty easy to figure out, but not too easy. The developers struck a good balance here that keeps you thinking, but doesn't tire you out. The spiritual side of Marianne has some pretty powerful abilities, all of which are fueled by spiritual energy. These abilities include Spirit Blast, which allows you to cast spiritual energy in a powerful blast to alter the world in some way, and Spirit Shield, which is as obvious as it sounds. It protects Marianne with a shield made of spiritual energy from harmful events of the spirit world, like these awful and annoying moths. Spiritual energy does run out, so you have to be methodical about your use of Spirit Shield. However, spirit wells that provide this energy never run dry, so if you run out and are able to make it back to the well, you can always refill. There is another extension of these spiritual abilities as you control Thomas, another medium who is seen in Marianne's visions. His abilities are a little bit different. He has Spirit Blast just like Marianne, but he can also use Spirit Force to move obstacles to clear a path or even damage enemies. It's a shame that you don't spend more time as Thomas, as the Spirit Force ability is really satisfying, but Marianne's abilities are nothing to scoff at either. Aside from everything I've talked about, you'll find that the game offers a really twisted lore that is pieced together as you advance in the typical horror game fashion, by finding documents and postcards and other things from the past that you can read and try to piece together the story for yourself. There's a slight twist on this though, as Marianne can use her medium abilities to actually piece together auditory experiences of the past in the form of echoes in the material world and memory reconstruction in the spiritual world. You'll also encounter some pretty freaky monsters in the world and some really dark subject matters. On that note, if you have kids, it's probably best to play this one after they go to bed. And finally, what good horror game would be complete without a well-placed jump scare? The medium offers enough of these to be fun, but not so many that you'll be expecting it. This game is definitely not perfect. The weird camera perspective can sometimes be annoying, and some of the actions can start to feel repetitive the longer you play. But that's not enough to take away from the twisted story and really refreshing gameplay experience between the two very different worlds. At times, the story can be pretty confusing and difficult to follow, but even still, it's pretty satisfying and provides a lot of thrilling mystery. While it's not a game I'd suggest taking a long hiatus between gaming sessions, it can be played in short bursts over multiple days as long as you can remember the story. All in all, I feel that the medium is time mostly well spent. What's your favorite horror game? Let us know in the comments below. Check out this video to see what other horror game could be time well spent.